Adobe InDesign can automate operations. One of these is creating lists, including list of figures, or as you could also call it, list of images. Welcome to this video. I'm Arpad. In this video, we will look at how to configure images with citations in Adobe InDesign and use the program to create an automatic list of figures for us. When we look at the sample document for this video called Thesis Workshop, and you navigate down to the first spread, second and third pages, you see that there are two lists here. On the right side, we have table of contents, which we have covered in a previous video. On the left side, you have list of figures. Now, as we're looking at this list of figures, this is what we're going to examine today. Please note the following. So first, that we have the listing which typically is accepted in Thesis, that you list the figures as 1, 2, 3, and so forth sequentially with a page number. So you have this and this. You will also have to list the citations, okay? And please note that for the citations, there's no separate page number because the citation, of course, is the same, is specific to an image. So what we're going to look at is first how to make sure that how to assign figures to images, so we get the automatic list, and how to format it so it appears in a certain visual format that you expect, that you want to set up. So again, please note we have the list here, but let's navigate to one of the images. Okay, so we have these two images here, figure 1, figure 2. And of course, we have more on subsequent pages. But please note that when I select, I have the image, I have the figure, and I'm selecting the frames, and I have the citation. And please note that when I select figure 1, and I go to the paragraph style, there's a certain style assigned to this one. It's called figures. When I select the citation, a different sources and different style is assigned to that. Okay? Now, why did I do that? The reason I did that so that, as you know, when you create a list, the list will be understood. The computer, Adobe, will know what to be in the what to put into the list based on what I select from the paragraph styles. Okay, so in other words, I have to assign these styles to this one. Please also note that when I click on these, figures is on a certain layer, but the citation is on a separate layer. Now again, it's a somewhat of a choice here, and in fact, image is on a separate layer. I guess maybe for the image and the figure could possibly be on the layer, but putting the source citations on a different layer allows you to do the following. Now, in Thesis, it's expected when you do the list has to have the citation, but you don't have to necessarily have the citation next to the image. In fact, it might be better when you have long lists to only list the figure name, which is figure 1, 2, 3. So by putting a separate layer before you print your document, your final thesis document submission, you can very simply turn off the layer, and you see that all you have is figure 1, 2, 3. But when I go back to the list still has the citation. Okay, so we're going to look at this setup, but again, what is important here is assign the proper layers and assign proper styles. So for now, I leave this in so we can see this. So let's go to the list here, and let's see how we configure this list. Now, please note that I not only assigned the figure, okay, next to the image, but I also created how I want it to appear in the list of figures. Okay, this is optional. You can do it later, and we're going to look at maybe those two options, just like we looked at with the table of contents. Okay, And so let's look at how that's done. So I go to list is, to get a list, we have to navigate to the menu bar, to layout, and select table of contents. So again, it is called table of contents, but it really just means that you can create any list that will be created based on the styles that are assigned to that list. Now I have what you see here. I had a previous operation here, so it already created this for me. So when this dialog box appears, this is where we define what should be in the list and how this list should appear. Okay, so again, for a second you saw, which I deleted, that whatever was your last setting, it appears here. So you just have to remove those. Okay, and so let's start at the top and let's go down and create this list of figures. Now first, you want to expand where it says more options. So select this, so you can do all the options for this one. The first one is you want to put in the name. So let's say in this case, list of figures is the name of this list. Okay. The second one, in the second set here, you have to decide what is in the list. And again, Adobe will understand, InDesign will understand what is in the list based on what paragraph style you assign, you put into the list. So in our case, of course, figures and figure source was the two things. Figure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth was assigned the style figures. So let's add this one to the list. And the second one was the figure source. I want this to be in the along with the listing. So I add this as a second. And again, please note this comes in as a second tier. Now the tier does not automatically mean that it will be indented like we see in this style, because this style is actually assigned to appear like this. Now we have two options for changing the appearance. One is you assign it, you create a style and assign in the third section here how you want each of these items appear in once you place this particular list, or you can place it first and then just create the style and format it basically afterwards. With the second option, if you format it afterwards, the problem is anytime you have a change, you have to reformat it again and again. With this first setup, you don't have to reformat it because it will be automatically available here. So I recommend that you actually do create styles. Now, when you navigate over to the paragraph styles panel, you see that I assigned styles called, which we are using here, figures. We have the second one is figure source. But I also have two additional styles here and they are called appearance figures right here, and appearance figure source right here. In other words, I create a style how I want this to appear basically right here. Okay, and I will explain that once we place this list of figures. Okay, so did this. So select the first one again, figures, entry style, and I will select, I want it to look like appearance figures, and I want a page number after the entry. For the figure source, I select appearance figure source, but I do not want a page number, so I select none, no page number. Okay, now the title, which is called list of figures, how do I want it to look like? I actually want to look like the style I assigned as title. Okay, so we say okay, this option appears. So the cursor appears, and you can basically place this text. In this case, a list of figures. So let's look at how the setting that you see here, how did I set this up? In other words, how do I set up the appearance? Okay, so let's select this paragraphs. Put your cursor inside this paragraph, okay? And this, of course, will automatically say appearance figure source, okay? So let's double click on this one and let's look at some of the settings, okay? Of course, the basic settings are evident. You select the font family, and I selected a smaller size. When you go to the, so size 8, and the leading, I left it auto. Okay, leading is this lining, space, the spacing of lines, okay? Now, next one, if you want to, actually, I want you guys to go to where it says tabs, okay? When you select the tabs, you see that these first markers are actually pulled in. And if I select these markers, my preview is turned on, I can actually move these together. And of course, you see that this live on the fly updates these. Okay, in other words, this style has these tabs moved in. Okay, in other words, otherwise, if I don't have these tabs, it would be doing it like this, which of course is fine if that's what you want. But if you want it to be moved in, just select it from the tabs. Okay, so these are the main settings for this style. Okay, now when we look at the other style, figure 1, appearance figures, let's double click on this one. Okay, again, the basic settings are evident, Century Gothic, regular, larger font size, 10 point. The citation was 8 point. And I also changed the leading. Okay, again, in this case, it doesn't really matter because, okay, so it would actually change this spacing right here. Okay, you could kind of see that, right? So if I go smaller, if I go to auto, it becomes like this. So I change the leading to a larger number. Okay, like 24 point. Okay. And the other one is you click on tabs again, and you see that there's a tab setting right here, which is left justified tab setting. And I move this, you see that the numbers move. So basically, this is, of course, where the numbers are assigned. Okay. And when you create a list, the tab will be automatically applied by InDesign. Okay, in other words, after figure 1, automatically the page number gets a tab. Now, how do I get these little dot lines here? Well, that's called a leader. Okay, and please know that in the leader, I put in a dot and I also put in some spacings. If I take these spacings out, okay, then the dots get closer. Okay, actually, let me just go back here. Appearance figures, tabs. And if I add, again, make sure that you always select the tab. I add these space bar, I just hit the space bar. Okay, that gets applied. Okay, So that's how you control that. Okay, again, in summary, what I recommend for list of figures is that in the document itself, when you list the name, because you place the image, you list figures 1, 2, 3, and the citation, you put these on separate layers, okay? And also assign styles, paragraph styles to them, okay? So at least separately for figures as a name and the citation. And then when you go to do the list, it's, again, you can create the appearance afterwards. Okay, but if you do assign the appearance in the list of figures, okay, let's say that I have a change here, so I'm going to do a change here. So first of all, nice about these being together, that I can move these. Okay, maybe I wanted this image here, okay? And for the exercise, maybe I create a new image, okay? So maybe I make a copy of this one and just assume that we have another one here. And I call it figure 9, okay? Diagram sample image 2. In other words, we add it to our list of figures. So let's navigate back to the list here. And let's examine how we can update this list. So I navigate to layout, table of contents again. And all we have to do is actually click on replace existing table of contents. So figure, figure source, and so forth. You say, okay, table of content has been updated successfully. Say, okay. Looks like nothing happened, but the reason, because there's an overset here. You see that little sign here. So I double click and I have the figure 9 added to this one. Okay. So again, this will be automatically updated and the style is retained. So I really recommend that you assign styles to these ones. So this concludes this video. This is one way of creating list of figures in Adobe InDesign.